What phrases do people misuse so often, you don't even bother correcting them anymore? I was in a meeting with my boss and a few other colleagues when one of them said, "for all intensive purposes." I corrected him saying, "I think you mean for all intents and purposes." He immediately got defensive and said, "No, I'm pretty sure it's intensive purposes." I tried to explain that it was a common mistake, but he wasn't having it. My boss then chimed in and said, "Actually, I think he's right. It's intensive purposes." I was shocked. I didn't want to argue with my boss, so I just let it go. Fast forward a few months later, we're in another meeting and the same colleague says, "for all intensive purposes." Again, this time I just kept my mouth shut. But then, my boss looks at me and says, "Hey, didn't you say it was intents and purposes last time?" I nodded, and he goes, "Yeah, I looked it up after that meeting. You were right." The colleague who originally said it looked embarrassed and said, "Oh, I guess I was wrong." We all had a good laugh about it. And now, whenever someone says, "for all intensive purposes" in a meeting, we all just look at each other and smile.